to where you can see where the row kind of stops, and then that row beyond that, and the 2 rows that I have there, those I planted some lettuce and some spinach and some kale. I know it's a little bit late in the season for that, but up here, you know, in Canada, the temperatures, and we haven't really had 90-degree days yet. And, you know, until we do, I'm not going to be afraid of planting stuff like that. And again, mainly that's going to be to feed the chickens, and maybe have a salad here and there. Again, these 3 rows here, if you can remember this is the sweet corn. It came up very sporadically. I have a feeling it's because, one of 2 reasons. One is because a lot of the seed possibly rotted, or 2, the seed didn't get put out in a uniform manner. I did use my earthquake planter, which I am very happy with. However, using certain plates that are recommended for, like, say, sweet corn, for me it tends to skip a lot. You know, I might have a couple of them, maybe 3 foot where there's one every 6 or 7 inches, then I have 2 feet where there's none. And, you know, again, they could have rotted or what have you. But anyway, I'm leaving this right now. The corn is coming up, but I mean, it's just these little weeds, and they keep going and going, and you rip them out and they come back in 2 days. So I mean, if anybody knows what they are, or how to combat them, you know, other than, yes, I know, weeding, but other than that, please leave it in the comment below. So I'm going to see how if this gets anywhere. If not, I do have a backup plan, which I'll show you in a minute. Down here, again, this is a row that I used to have a row crop. I had winter squash, I had melons, I had, you know, watermelon, cantaloupes, etc. The watermelon, cantaloupes, all the melons didn't do diddly squat. The ones that you see here are actually the winter squash, and actually I have a couple of zucchini, which are those that were in here. I dug them out, put them back in. They weren't too happy about that. Squash don't like being transplanted, but after about 2 days they all came back, or most of them came back, and they're doing well. So all I did again is till it up and then hilled it. And the reason why I wanted to do a row crop, do them in rows, is one reason I could use the drip irrigation. If you try to use drip irrigation here, a lot of it gets wasted because you're not, you know, you have 3 feet in between each hill, so you waste all that water, and also that feeds the weeds. But next year, I think I may try to do this hilling method, or if I can get my hands on a hiller or a row hipper. Up here in Canada, they're not that popular, and the websites that you can get them from down in the States either don't ship here, or it would cost an arm and a leg. So I may figure out if I can have one shipped down home and then bring it back with me. You know, we'll see. This row here, which you can't even see, like literally these grew an inch or 2 overnight. But there is mustard green in here. Again, the only reason I'm growing those was to feed the chickens. I may just till this up. We'll see what these weeds do. But I mean, this is what takes over. I don't understand it. I understand what, if I knew what it was, you know, I could maybe spray for it or put something down. But for now, I weed what I can. You know, I try my best. I mean, next year I may scale down this garden a bit, or maybe, you know, plant even less of varieties of things, and then kind of, you know, reflect back on what I did this year to help me for next year. But anyway, this row here, which I will weed, these are pumpkins. All kinds of different varieties, regular jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, you know, there may be some gourds in here, but, you know, after about, you know, you can see where they kind of stop. That's all one variety, and I actually have some sunflowers I put in here every so often to get some nice some little contrast. But these things are growing great. I'm fairly happy with them, and I know they're planted a little tight, but you know what, I'm just going to let them. They seem to be doing fine now. I haven't fertilized them at all, but you know, with the compost here, I think they'll be fine. And again, they're going to be able to sprawl out onto here. I just actually tilled this today, and I mean, boy, if I could get my soil to look like this all the time with no weeds, I'd be in heaven. Anyway, I'm going to head down to the lower garden, which there actually is some more exciting stuff to show you, and I'll catch up with you in a bit. Alright, we're down here in the lower garden, and more weeds. These weeds are different. These are more of a grass weed, or grass, not slash, you know, it's not a weed, it's grass. But also you get these prickly ones and different things. This was actually weeded about a week and a half ago, and you can see how bad it is again. You know, for planting potatoes, a potato or a row hipper would really do great. I mean, I do have a potato plow, a middle buster, whatever you want to call it, so I did trench them. But the problem is these things are growing 18 inches. I got some of them 2 foot high, and I don't have anything to hill them with. I know you can say, well, get out here with a hoe and do it. You know, and that is true, that could be done, but with the amount of other work that I have here, the last thing I have time for is to come out here, pull weeds everywhere, and then hill up potatoes. So I'm still hoping we get a good crop. This is the best potato plants that I've ever grown. So I mean, you can just imagine if these would be hilled up. I did find a couple potato beetles, maybe a dozen or so one day, and I kind of squashed all those, killed those, and I really haven't seen any. I do really hope that these potatoes produce this year. I know there are some little potatoes on there already, because a couple of them got pulled up as I was weeding, but I just hope they'll still be okay. And you know, I'm not trying to make excuses here, but I have a dozen horses to take care of in 25 acres, and I have acres of grass to cut every day or every week, and you know, I try my best. But some things I just kind of leave. I know if I'd have better equipment, I would be able to accomplish things a lot better. But you know, money's tight, as they say. Alright, anyway, enough making excuses, I guess. Now, if you look there, now we're getting into some sweet corn. This is a later planting I did about 2 weeks ago. This row is about 130 foot, maybe 140 foot. I'm not exactly sure the measurement on it. But I planted 4 rows. I watered them 1 time. And as you can see, the weeds are starting to come up, but they're not too bad. But this corn, again, see how it's spaced? That's what you want. 6-7 inches. You know, here one missed, there one missed, here 2. You know, so it's still very sporadic. So I'm gonna have to look into, especially here. Look at this. Here's a row 3 foot with none in here, and you know, I already kind of hand planted a lot in here, so I'm not about to go back in it. So I should still get a decent crop out of this, as long as the weeds don't take over, and as long as the little critters stay out of here. We do have a couple bunnies around, which is nice to see, but I don't want to see them in the garden. So anyway, this is my backup plan for sweet corn. I never made an ear of sweet corn here that's worth eating in the past 2 seasons. Last season I wasn't here to tend to it, but again, the weeds took over, and so I'm really hoping this corn grows for me. Alright, and if you see, there's 2 rows, and there's a row down there. I'm not going to walk all the way down there. Maybe I will. But as I mentioned before, all my melons and my cantaloupes, my watermelons, all that, they didn't do squat. I think all the seed rotted, or the birds got them. But I think more so probably they rotted. So what I did is I bought, I had watermelon seeds. I went out and bought a couple cantaloupe seeds, maybe 1 pack or 2 packs or whatever, and I replanted. I know it's the first week of July. It's late to just start seeding again. Actually, seeds I said about 2 weeks ago, and some of them they're just starting to pop through now. Again, I watered all this stuff 1 time, and you can still see how wet it is. I think it's just a matter of time for things to come up. As I cut more grass down here and sweep it and bag it here, I will be putting it around these plants. These thread leg weeds, that's what happens here. I don't really, I try my best to keep I'm not going to get into weeds again to bore you with that. But anyway, these are some bigger pumpkins, and as you can see, that I must have dropped the seed there. They're growing nicely. These have all come up within the past 3 days. And as anybody knows that grows pumpkins or a larger type squash, when they start coming up, they take off like a rocket. And these are all 90-day, 80-day pumpkins, which that takes us here to the end of September. But I'm confident that I'll get something out of here. I also planted some baby Pams, the pod pumpkins, the smaller ones they take last time, gourds, etc. And then I have more pumpkins here. So I'm really hoping that these at least make something for us. These 4 hills here, which there's 1 seed up at least out of every hill. These are Big Max pumpkins. Those are 120 day. Those are your large, 100, 200, 300, 400 pound pumpkins. Again, is there going to be enough time to make one of those this season? I doubt it, but there's no harm in trying, because if you don't try, then for sure you're going to have no success. But that'll take it to the end of October, 4 months from now. So we have July, August, September, October. So if we have an early fall, an early frost, it's going to kill everything anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But this year, as if you've been following my my videos and different things on the Bayou forums and on the Facebook American Seed Alliance, etc., etc., a lot of people have been having issues with rain, either not enough, too much, at the wrong time, weeds, and I've had a couple of the people that I follow on YouTube have not complained, but have mentioned how the weeds have just kind of overtaken everything, and that's due, large in part by the way the rain's been working, the temperatures. So I think it's not just me that's behind this year. I think a lot of people are. I think I'm more behind than others, just because I'm in a very wet area, and the soil doesn't dry out for a long time. But I guess overall is, just keep growing, and if you make something, you make something. If you don't, you don't. But at least at the end of this season, I can say I tried my best. And yeah, so hopefully we get some crops out of here in the next little while. I actually did have a couple strawberries earlier today out of the strawberry plants that I have, and my raspberries are actually doing good. They have a lot of raspberries on them, but they're not quite ready yet, probably in the next few weeks. And yeah, so that's my garden update. If you stuck on for this long, thank you very much, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.